The forbidden sight the night was quiet on the alien world. 2 moons floated above the black sky, casting silver light across the jungle floor. The human explorer, Daniel, moved slowly between tall trees and glowing plants. His breath was heavy, his heart quick. He was far from his team, far from safety, and yet something kept pulling him deeper into the unknown. Daniel had been warned not to wander alone. The alien city nearby was filled with strange customs and strict laws. The guides had said, "Stay away from private chambers. What you see may cost your life." But curiosity was stronger than fear. He followed a narrow path lit by strange blue fireflies. The sound of rushing water echoed through stone walls, leading him into an ancient structure half hidden under vines. The air inside was warm, heavy, and filled with the scent of smoke. Daniel did not know he had entered the sacred quarters of the alien warriors. He pushed aside a hanging curtain of silk, and what he saw froze him in place. A figure stood in the center of the room. She was tall, strong, her skin marked with glowing patterns that shifted like fire. Armor lay broken at her feet. She was unclothed, her back to him, her hair long and dark like midnight waves. Daniel gasped before he could stop himself. The sound echoed. The alien warrior spun around. Her eyes, bright gold, burning like suns, met his. For a moment, the world stopped. No words, no air, no sound. Only danger. Her lips parted, but no words came out. Shock covered her face. Then her expression changed to fury. "You, human." Her voice was sharp, low, almost trembling. "You should not be here. You should not have seen this." Daniel stepped back, his hands rising. "I didn't mean I was just..." His voice cracked. Fear filled his throat. The warrior took a step closer, her movements smooth but deadly, like a predator. "Do you know what this means?" she whispered. Her words carried more weight than stone. Daniel shook his head. He wanted to run, but his legs would not move. His body was frozen under her gaze. She closed the distance, standing only inches away. Her golden eyes never blinked. "By our law, a stranger who sees me like this must die." The words struck him like a blade. His stomach turned cold. But she continued, her tone shifting, almost broken. "There is one way to live. One way for you and for me." Daniel swallowed hard. What way? His voice was barely a breath. Her eyes softened with something that looked like fear. "Marriage," she said. Daniel blinked, stunned. "What?" Her face tightened, her jaw sharp. "If you marry me, if you bind your life with mine, the law will spare us. If you refuse, if others find out, they will kill us both." Silence filled the chamber. Outside, the wind howled through the trees. Inside, Daniel felt his heart beating faster than ever before. He could not believe what he had heard. Marriage to an alien he had just met. It was impossible, ridiculous, unreal. And yet, he could see the truth in her eyes. This was not a choice born of romance. This was survival. Footsteps echoed in the distance. Shouts, the sound of soldiers searching. The warrior's eyes darted to the door, then back to him. Panic rose in her chest. "They are coming," she whispered. "If they find you here, you will not live long enough to explain. Decide now, human. Do you want life or death?" Daniel's chest tightened. He could hear the boots of soldiers against the stone, growing closer. He looked at her hat, her glowing marks, her burning eyes, her trembling hands. She was not just fierce. She was afraid too, and somehow his fate had become tied to hers. Daniel took a deep breath. He did not answer yet. His mind raced with fear and doubt. The footsteps grew louder, the voices sharper. Soon the soldiers would tear through the curtain and discover him. The warrior reached out, grabbing his arm with surprising gentleness. Her hand was warm, strong, trembling. "Please," she said. Her voice was no longer cold. It was desperate. "Say yes. If you don't, we die together." Daniel's mouth went dry. His heart pounded so hard he thought it might break his ribs. At that moment, time slowed. The choice before him was heavy, impossible, and yet urgent. Survival demanded a decision. The curtain swayed. A shadow passed across the doorway. Daniel whispered, almost without knowing, "Yes." The warrior's eyes widened, relief mixed with fire. She pulled him closer, pressing her forehead to his in a sudden gesture of ritual. "You belong to me now," she whispered, "and I to you." The sound of soldiers entered the chamber, their voices echoing. But the warrior stood tall, her golden eyes blazing. She looked at Daniel, then at the shadows closing in. Her voice turned strong again, unshakable. "From this moment, we are bound, and no one will tear us apart." The forbidden sight had sealed their fate. The law of shadows. The chamber grew silent after the soldiers passed. Only the flicker of torches and the sound of Daniel's own pounding heart filled the air. His breath came in sharp gasps, his mind still struggling to understand what had just happened. A moment ago, he was an explorer. Now, he was bound married. According to alien law, to a warrior he had barely met. The alien woman stepped back, her golden eyes scanning the doorway. She waited until the shadows of the soldiers disappeared, then let out a sharp breath of relief. Her body trembled, but her face remained hard, carved like stone. Daniel's voice cracked as he finally spoke. "What? What just happened? What did you do to me?" Her gaze cut to him like a blade. "I saved your life," she said, "and my own." His mouth went dry. "By saying yes, by agreeing to marriage. That's not saving. That's madness." She moved closer again, her tall frame towering over him. "You do not understand, human. Our law is older than memory itself. When one of us is seen unclothed by an outsider, the punishment is death. There is no forgiveness, no mercy." Her voice lowered, trembling slightly. "But there is one exception. If the one who sees agrees to a binding union, a vow stronger than chains, a vow that makes two lives into one." Daniel shook his head in disbelief. "That's insane. Where I come from, marriage is a choice, something people do because they love each other, not because of this." Her golden eyes softened, just for a second. "Do you think I wanted this?" she asked quietly. "Do you think I dreamed of marrying a human stranger? No. But if we do not stand together, if they find you here without a bond, you will be executed, and I will be executed with you. That is the law of shadows. That is the price of what you saw." Daniel swallowed hard. The weight of her words sank into him like heavy stones. He remembered the glow of her markings, the fire in her eyes, the way her hand had trembled when she begged him to say yes. She was not lying. She was afraid, just like him. Outside, voices still echoed faintly in the corridors. Soldiers were searching, their steps moving further away but never fully gone. Daniel rubbed his face with his hands, trying to think. So now what? If I say yes, if I accept this bond, what happens next? Do they just leave us alone? The warrior's eyes narrowed. No, the bond must be proven. Words are not enough. The elders, the council, they will demand to see if our union is real. If they sense a lie, they will kill us anyway. The words chilled Daniel to the bone. So even after all this, we're still in danger. She nodded slowly. Yes. Until the bond is complete, until it is sealed before the council, We walk on a blade's edge." Daniel stared at her. She was fierce, beautiful in a way he could not fully understand, but terrifying too. And now their fates were locked together. He drew in a long breath. "Then tell me, what do I call you?" For the first time, the warrior's expression shifted. Her lips pressed together, and she spoke softly, almost reluctantly. "My name is Kylara." Daniel repeated it under his breath. Kylara. The name felt heavy, ancient, like it carried stories older than he could imagine. Kylara studied him for a long moment. Her golden eyes seemed to search his soul. "And you, human? What is your name?" "Daniel," he said simply. Daniel. She said it carefully, as if testing how it fit on her tongue. Then she looked away, her expression hardening again. "Daniel, you must listen to me. From this moment, you are no longer only yourself. You are bound to me. If you falter, if you reveal doubt in front of the council, you doom us both." Daniel clenched his fists. "And if I refuse? If I run?" Kylara's jaw tightened. She stepped closer until her shadow fell over him. "Then I will be forced to kill you myself before the soldiers do. Because if you die by my hand, the law spares me. But if they kill you after what you saw, I die." Her words struck him like lightning. She wasn't bluffing. She would do it. Daniel's chest rose and fell rapidly. The choice was brutal, cruel. But there was no escape. At last, he whispered, "So either I die alone, or I live with you." Kylara's gaze softened slightly. "Yes, that is the truth." For a long moment, silence stretched between them. The glow from her markings lit the shadows on the stone walls. Outside, the jungle hummed with strange sounds. And in that silence, Daniel realized something. His life was no longer his own. Finally, Kylara broke the stillness. "We must leave. The council will hear of this soon. If we go to them first, we may survive. If they hear it from the soldiers, we are already dead." Daniel hesitated. "And if I don't go?" Kylara turned sharply, her golden eyes blazing. "Again? Then you choose death. But if you come with me, there is a chance. A small chance, enough to fight for." She reached out her hand, palm open, waiting. Daniel stared at it. The hand of an alien warrior. The hand that could kill him or save him. Slowly, his trembling fingers reached out and touched hers. Her grip was strong, steady, certain. "Good," Kylara said firmly. "From now on, Daniel, every step you take is with me. And every shadow we walk through together." They moved quickly, slipping into the night. Soldiers' voices echoed in the distance, but the two figures vanished into the maze of stone and jungle. Their bond untested but unbroken for now. Above them, the two moons watched in silence, as if the heavens themselves knew their fate had only just begun. The law of shadows was clear. And the test of that law was waiting. The forced decision. The jungle was alive with whispers of danger. Strange insects hummed, and glowing vines curled across the stone pathways. The air was thick, humid, and heavy with silence, broken only by the sound of footsteps, two sets, moving quickly through the shadows. Daniel followed Kylara, though his mind screamed with doubt. His heart was heavy, his breath uneven. He had agreed to something impossible, marriage to an alien warrior. Binding himself to a stranger because of a law he barely understood. Every step he took felt like walking deeper into a trap. Kylara moved with speed and grace, her golden eyes glowing faintly in the dark. She carried herself like a predator, scanning every corner, every movement in the shadows. She was calm, but Daniel could feel the tension in her body. Every muscle was tight, ready to fight or run. "Where are we going?" Daniel whispered, his voice harsh with fear. "To the Temple of Vows," Kylara said firmly, not slowing down. "It is the only place where our bond can be recognized. The council will not listen without the proof of the ritual." Daniel shook his head, his steps faltering. "This is insane. I shouldn't even be here. I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask to see you. I didn't ask to marry you. I didn't ask to risk my life because of some alien law." His voice rose, breaking with panic. Slapped suddenly, spinning to face him. Her eyes burned like fire. "And yet you did see me," she said sharply. "And now the law does not care what you asked for. The law demands a price. Oh, do you want to live human? Or do you want to die here in the dirt?" Daniel froze. Her voice was like steel, but beneath it he caught something else: fear. Not only for herself, but for him too. He stepped back, his chest rising and falling quickly. "Marriage? I barely know you. Where I come from, this isn't how it works." Kylara's expression softened for only a heartbeat. "Do you think I wanted this? Do you think I dreamed of marrying a human stranger from the stars?" Her voice lowered, almost breaking. "I did not choose this either, Daniel. But the shadows leave no choice. Either we stand together, or we fall apart and both die." The silence between them was thick, filled with the sounds of distant shouts. The soldiers were still searching. Every passing second brought them closer. Daniel clenched his fists, struggling with his thoughts. He could run, could abandon her, try to find his way back to his team, but deep down, he knew it was hopeless. The alien city was a maze of laws and dangers he didn't understand. Without Kylara, he would be hunted like prey. And yet, trusting her meant binding himself to her forever. "I can't do this," he whispered. His voice was shaky, almost desperate. "I can't marry you just because of some law." Kylara stepped closer, her shadow falling over him. She was taller, stronger, her presence like a storm. But her voice was softer now, pleading. "If you do not, they will kill you, and I will die with you. Do you want my blood on your hands, human? Do you want me to die because of your fear?" Okay. Her words hit him hard, cutting through his doubt. She wasn't threatening him, she was begging. Daniel swallowed, his throat dry. He looked into her eyes and saw it. Not just anger, not just strength, but fear. Real fear. She was as trapped as he was. Before he could answer, the sound of voices grew louder. Torches flickered through the trees, casting light across the jungle. Soldiers, they were close to close. Kylara grabbed his arm with surprising gentleness, pulling him into the shadows. Her hand was warm, her grip firm. "There is no more time," she whispered urgently. "You must decide now. Run, and we die. Stay, and we fight together. Which will it be?" Daniel's chest tightened. His mind screamed to run, but his body refused. The footsteps of the soldiers grew nearer. The glow of torches lit the trees around them. Any second now, they would be caught. Kylara's golden eyes met his again, burning with desperation. "Save it, Daniel. Choose life with me, or death with them." The jungle seemed to hold its breath. Daniel's hands trembled. He thought of his team, of his home, of the life he might never see again. He thought of Kylara's eyes, fierce yet afraid, and the way her voice had cracked when she said, "Please." His mouth went dry. His heart pounded like a drum. Finally, in a voice barely louder than a whisper, he said, "I'll stay. I'll do it." Relief swept across Kylara's face, though her body stayed tense. She pulled him closer, her grip tightening. "Then hold fast, human," she said. "Because from this moment forward, your life is no longer your own. It belongs to me, and mine belongs to you." The soldiers' voices echoed through the trees, closer and closer. But Kylara moved quickly, guiding Daniel through hidden paths. Only she seemed to know. The jungle closed behind them, swallowing their trail as they ran deeper into the night. Daniel felt the weight of his choice pressing down on him. He had chosen survival, but survival came with a price, and deep inside, he wondered if he had just traded one kind of death for another. The ritual bond the jungle thinned as Daniel and Kylara hurried through the shadows. The cries of soldiers echoed faintly behind them, fading with distance, but Daniel knew they were never truly safe. Every step brought him deeper into a world he did not understand. Guided only by the hand of the alien warrior beside him, at last, the trees opened into a wide clearing. In the center stood a massive stone temple, ancient and dark, its surface carved with glowing lines that pulsed like veins of fire. Strange statues of towering warriors guarded the entrance, their eyes made of crystal that seemed to watch every move. Daniel slowed, his breath caught in his throat. What is this place? Kylara's eyes flickered with both fear and reverence. The Temple of Vows, she whispered. Here, unions are sealed. Here, promises cannot be broken. If we do not complete the ritual inside, the council will never believe us, and if they don't believe us, we die. Daniel stared at the temple, its silent walls rising high into the starlit sky. It felt alive, like it was waiting. His stomach twisted. He wanted to run, to escape this nightmare, but Kylara's grip tightened on his arm. "Stay close," she said firmly. "Do not speak unless spoken to. Do not question what you see. If you falter, we are both lost." Her words were sharp, but her golden eyes carried something else, a strange trust, fragile but real. Together, they climbed the wide steps. The stone was cold beneath Daniel's boots. Strange symbols glowed faintly, reacting to their presence. At the top, two massive doors loomed, each carved with the shapes of warriors holding blades crossed over their chests. Kylara placed her hand against the door. The markings on her skin glowed brighter, spreading light across the stone. Slowly, with a groan that echoed through the night, the doors opened inward. Inside, the temple was vast and shadowed. Torches burned with blue flame along the walls, casting flickering light over murals that told stories Daniel could not understand, tales of battles, vows, betrayals, and blood. The air smelled of smoke and ancient stone. At the center of the sea hall stood an altar of black rock. Strange runes were carved deep into its surface, glowing faintly. Around it stood hooded figures, leaders of Kylara's people. Their faces were hidden, but Daniel could feel their eyes on him, cold and sharp. One elder stepped forward, his staff glowing with white fire. His voice was deep, echoing as though the walls themselves spoke with him. "You bring a human to this place, Kylara," the elder said. "Do you claim him as your bond? Do you bind his life to yours before the Temple of Vows?" Kyara's voice was steady, though Daniel could hear her tension. "Yes, he saw me in shadow. By law, we are joined. By vow, we seek to live." The elder turned his hooded head toward Daniel. The weight of that unseen gaze crushed him. "And you, human, do you accept this bond? Do you tie your fate to hers, knowing that to break it is death?" Daniel's mouth went dry. His heart hammered. He wanted to scream no, to run, to escape this nightmare. But Kylara's words echoed in his mind. "If you falter, we are both lost." He forced himself to speak, his voice trembling. I accept." The temple grew silent. The torches flickered, as if the flames themselves listened. The elder raised his staff, and the ground trembled. Then the ritual begins. Two attendants stepped forward, carrying bowls of glowing liquid. One red as fire, the other blue as ice. They set them on the altar, then withdrew into the shadows. Kylara leaned close to Daniel, whispering quickly, "Do not fear. Follow my lead. We must drink together, or the vow fails." Daniel nodded weakly, though fear gnawed him. Kylara stepped to the altar first, placing her hand above the red liquid. The runes glowed brighter. She lifted the bowl and drank deeply, the glow spreading through her veins like fire. Her markings flared, lighting up her entire body with a brilliance that filled the hall. Then it was Daniel's turn. His hands shook as he lifted the blue bowl. The liquid shimmered, cold light swirling inside. He raised it to his lips. The taste was sharp, metallic, like ice and stone. A chill spread through his body, crawling up his spine. His vision blurred. The temple spinning around him, but then something strange happened. The fire in Kylara's veins and the ice in his own seemed to reach out, pulling toward each other. Light flowed between them, binding them together. The elders raised their staffs, chanting in a language Daniel could not understand. The sound was deep, vibrating through his bones. Kylara took his hand. Her grip was strong, anchoring him. She pressed their joined hands against the altar. The runes flared, burning bright. The elder's voice thundered through the hall. 2 lives, 1 vow, 2 fates, 1 path. By fire and by ice, by law and by shadow, let the bond be sealed. The light exploded, flooding the temple. Daniel gasped, as warmth and cold rushed through him at once, filling his body with strange power. For a moment, he could feel Kylara's heart beat steady, strong, unyielding, echoing inside his chest. When the light faded, silence returned. The runes on the altar dimmed, but their joined hands still glowed faintly. The elder lowered his staff. "It is done," he said. His voice was grim. "You are bound. But know this, human, this bond is not only law, it is truth. If you betray her, if you turn against her, your life will wither. And if she breaks faith with you, hers will. And you are one until death." Daniel's stomach twisted. The weight of the vow pressed down on him like a mountain. He had thought this was just a ritual, a trick to survive. But now he felt it in his bones. The bond was real. Kylara released his hand, but her eyes lingered on him. Her golden gaze was unreadable, part relief, part worry, part something else Daniel could not name. Before he could speak, a loud crash echoed through the temple. The doors burst open. Soldiers stormed inside, their blades glowing, their faces grim. A tall warrior stepped forward, his armor shining black. His eyes locked on Kylara with fury. "You dare bind yourself to a human. You shame our law, Kylara. The council will never accept this union." The elders turned, their chants broken. Tension filled the air like lightning before a storm. Daniel's heart sank. The ritual was complete, but the danger was not over. The bond had been sealed. But now it would be tested. Asterisk enemies in the shadows. The air inside the temple grew colder. The moment the soldiers burst through the doors, their armor gleamed like dark steel, reflecting the blue flames of the torches. The ground shook beneath their boots. As they marched in, blades glowing with deadly light, Daniel's breath caught in his throat. He had thought the ritual was the end of the nightmare, but now it seemed only the beginning. His hands still tingled from the vow he had made. The strange warmth of Kylara's heartbeat echoing faintly in his chest. Yet facing the soldiers, that comfort felt small. At the front of the group stood a tall warrior, his presence heavier than the rest. His armor was etched with symbols of rank, and his face carried a look of controlled fury. His eyes were the same golden color as Kylara's, but colder, harder, filled with contempt. "Kylara," he thundered, his voice echoing against the stone walls. You dare bring a human into our sacred temple. You dare claim him as your bond. Kylara stood tall, her shoulders square. Her voice was firm, though Daniel sensed the tension beneath it. Yes, the vow has been made. By law, he is mine, and I am his. The temple has witnessed it. The elders have sealed it. Murmurs spread among the soldiers, low whispers of disbelief. Their eyes flicked to Daniel, filled with suspicion and hate. The tall warrior stepped closer, his gaze sharp. As a blade, you think the council will honor this? You shame us, Kylara. You shame your bloodline, your people, and the shadows themselves. Daniel swallowed, fear rising in his chest. He wanted to speak, to defend himself, but Kylara's hand brushed against his side firm, warning him to stay silent. The elder who had led the ritual raised his staff, his voice deep and commanding. The vow has been witnessed. By the law of shadows, it is binding. You may not deny it. The tall warrior turned, glaring at the elder. Law is not honor. Law can be twisted. This human is nothing. Weak, fragile, a stain on our people. I will not allow this union to stand unchallenged. His words struck Daniel hard. Weak, fragile, nothing. He clenched his fists, anger mixing with fear. He wanted to prove them wrong, but how could he? He was just a man with no weapons, no strength compared to them. Kylara's voice cut through the air, sharp as steel. You question my vow, Vedran. Then, by the old ways, challenge it. Or stand aside. The tall warrior Vedran smiled coldly. Then, I challenge. He pointed his glowing blade at Daniel. Let the trial decide if this human deserves to live. Daniel's heart dropped. Trial. His eyes flicked to Kylara, panic rising. She met his gaze, her golden eyes steady but grim. The elder lowered his staff, his voice heavy. So be it. The bond must be tested. The human and his chosen mate will face the trial of fire. If they endure, the vow stands. If they fail, he paused, his voice echoing in the silence. Their lives end here. The soldiers murmured again, some with cruel delight, others with unease. The torches flickered as if even the flames feared what was to come. Daniel felt his legs weaken. Trial of fire. What does that mean? He whispered urgently to Kylara. She leaned close, her voice low but fierce. It means they will test us. Pain, fear, enemies. They will see if we stand together or break apart. Her eyes burned into his. You must not falter, Daniel. If you do, we both die. Before he could respond, the soldiers surrounded them, forming a circle. The elder struck his staff against the stone floor, and the ground rumbled. The altar shifted, splitting apart, revealing a staircase leading down into darkness. A hot wind rose from below, carrying the scent of smoke and ash. The trial waits, the elder said. Enter and prove your bond. Kylara gripped Daniel's arm tightly, her strength steadying him. Together, they descended the stairs. The passage was narrow, the walls glowing faintly with runes. The air grew hotter with every step, the floor trembling with distant roars. Daniel's fear deepened with each sound. At last, they emerged into a vast underground chamber. The ceiling stretched high above, lost in shadows. Rivers of molten fire cut through the stone floor, glowing orange and red, filling the air with heat. Strange platforms rose from the lava, connected by thin bridges of black rock. From the darkness came a sound that froze Daniel's blood, a growl. Deep and rumbling, followed by claws scraping against stone. Kylara stood tall beside him, her hand resting on the hilt of a blade she carried across her back. Her voice was calm but sharp. This is the trial of fire. We will not face it alone. The shadows will test us with beasts, with flame, with fear. If we stand together, we may live. If we break apart, the fire will claim us. Daniel's throat was dry, his body trembled. He had never felt so weak, so out of place. Yet Kylara's steady presence, her unyielding strength, pulled him back from the edge. He took a deep breath, forcing his voice to steady. "Then I'll stand with you." For the first time, Kylara's lips curved into the faintest smiles, almost hidden, but real. "Good. Then remember this, human. In the shadows, we are stronger together." The ground shook again as the first beast emerged from the flames. Its body was massive, scales glowing like molten rock, eyes burning red. It roared, shaking the chamber. Daniel's fear screamed inside him. But Kylara drew her blade, stepping forward with fire in her eyes. The trial had begun. The trial of fire. The roar of the beast echoed through the cavern, shaking the stone bridges and sending ripples across the rivers of molten fire. Legs stiffened, his chest tightened, and his breath came shallow and quick. The monster that emerged from the flames was unlike anything he had ever seen. Its body was the size of a transport vehicle, scales glowing orange like burning coal. Steam hissed from its nostrils, and when it opened its mouth, the air trembled with heat. Kylara stood tall, blade drawn, her markings glowing brighter as though answering the fire itself. Her golden eyes did not blink. She turned her head slightly toward Daniel and said, her voice steady and sharp, "Do not freeze. If you freeze, you die. If you falter, we both die." Daniel swallowed hard, nodding weakly. His mind screamed at him to run, but there was nowhere to go. Behind them, the stairway had closed with heavy stone. The only path forward was across the thin bridges and through the beasts that guarded them. The creature stomped forward, its claws cracking stone, its eyes fixed on them. Kylara shifted into a ready stance. "Follow my lead. Stay close." The beast lunged. Kylara moved with lightning speed, rolling aside as the monster's claws smashed into the bridge where she had stood. Stone cracked and crumbled into the fire below. She struck with her blade, sparks flying as steel met molten scales. Daniel stumbled back, nearly falling into the lava. Heat scorched his face, sweat pouring down his brow. His instinct screamed that he was helpless, but then Kylara's earlier words rang in his ears. "If you falter, we both die." His fists clenched. He couldn't fight like her, but he couldn't just stand still either. The beast turned, its massive head snapping toward Daniel. Its jaws opened wide, heat pouring from its throat. Daniel's heart stopped. Kylara leaped between them, slashing upward with her blade. Sparks and fire exploded as she drove the beast back, snarling. "Move, human!" she shouted. Daniel stumbled onto another bridge, gripping the rock for balance. He spotted something, a loose chain hanging from the cavern ceiling, likely part of the trial's design. His mind raced. "Think, Daniel. You're not strong, but you're clever, Kylara," he shouted. "Lead it toward me." Kylara's eyes flicked to him, sharp and questioning, but she didn't hesitate. She struck the beast again, slicing across its snout. The monster roared and chased her across the bridge, its claws scraping sparks into the air. Daniel climbed onto a higher ledge, gripping the chain tightly. His body shook with fear, but he forced himself to wait. The beast thundered closer, Kylara dodging and weaving with skill, her blade cutting glowing marks into its armor-like skin. Now, Daniel screamed. Kylara dove aside, and the beast lunged under Daniel's ledge. With all his strength, Daniel swung the chain down, wrapping it around the creature's neck. The heat burned his hands, but he pulled with everything he had. The beast roared, thrashing wildly. "Hold it!" Kylara shouted. She sprang forward, her blade flashing. With one powerful strike, she drove the weapon deep into the creature's exposed throat. A burst of fire and ash filled the cavern as the beast collapsed, shaking the bridge. Daniel fell to his knees, coughing, his palms blistered from the chain. Kylara stood above the dying beast, her chest heaving, her markings still glowing. She pulled her blade free and turned to him. For the first time, her fierce expression softened. "You did well, Daniel." He blinked at her, stunned. I just got lucky." She shook her head. "No, you acted. You thought. That is strength too." Before Daniel could reply, another sound rose from the shadows, this time not one roar, but many. Shapes emerged from the darkness. More beasts, smaller but faster. Their eyes glowing red. Their bodies low and sleek, like predators. Daniel's stomach dropped. More. Kylar gripped her blade tighter. The trial does not end with one beast. It ends when we have proven our bond. The creatures circled them on the bridges, their claws tapping against stone. Daniel's body screamed with exhaustion, but he forced himself to stand. Kylara stepped closer, her shoulder brushing his. "Stay by my side," she whispered. "We fight as one." The first beast lunged, teeth bared. Kylara struck it down in a flash, but another came from behind. Daniel reacted without thinking, grabbing a loose shard of stone and slamming it into the creature's eye. The beast screeched and fell into the lava below. His chest heaved, but adrenaline surged through him. For the first time, he felt not just fear but fight. Together, they battled across the bridge. Kylara's blade flashed like lightning, cutting down beasts with deadly grace. Daniel fought clumsily but with determination, shoving, striking, using the environment chains. Rocks, anything to help. Whenever he faltered, Kylara covered him. Whenever she was cornered, Daniel distracted the creatures. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours. The heat of the lava seared their skin, the roars of beasts echoing endlessly. But slowly, the tide turned. One by one, the monsters fell into the fire. At last, silence filled the cavern again. Only the sound of their heavy breathing remained. Daniel dropped to his knees, sweat pouring, his body shaking. I thought we were done for." Kylara stood tall, her blade dripping with ash and fire. She looked down at him, her eyes softer than before. "We are not done yet," she said quietly. "But you have proven yourself more than I expected." Daniel forced a weak smile. "So I'm not completely useless." For the first time, Kylara laughed, short, quiet laugh, but real. Not useless. Perhaps even worthy. Before Daniel. Cadenza, the cavern trembled again. A new sound rose deeper than the others. The lava churned violently, and from its center rose a final beast twice the size of the first. Wings unfolding, fire dripping from its fangs. Daniel's eyes widened in horror. That's the biggest one yet. Kylara raised her blade, golden eyes blazing with fire. Then this will be the true test. Daniel stood, his hands still shaking, but his resolve stronger than before. He looked at her and said, voice firm, "We fight it together." Kylara nodded once. Together, the monster roared, fire exploding from its jaws. The final trial had begun. The final choice. The cavern shook as the final beast rose from the lava. Its wings spreading wide like black fire. Its body glowed with molten light, every scale dripping heat. When it roared, the walls themselves cracked, and rivers of flame spilled onto the bridges. Daniel's body screamed with exhaustion, but he forced himself to stand. His knees trembled. Sweat ran down his face, and his hands were raw from burns and cuts. But when he looked at Kylara, he saw no fear in her golden eyes, only fire. determination, and something else he could not name. "This is the last test," she said firmly, her blade steady in her hand. "If we fall here, everything ends." Daniel nodded. His voice was rough, but steady. "Then we don't fall. Not now, not after all this." The beast leaped forward, wings beating hard enough to shatter stone. Its massive claws slammed into the bridge, sending chunks of rock crashing into the lava below. Kylara moved first, darting toward the beast with lightning speed. Her blade struck across its chest, leaving a glowing scar. The creature roared and swung its tail, sending her flying across the platform. She landed hard but rolled back to her feet, her body marked with ash. Daniel's heart pounded. He had no weapon but a broken shard of rock. Still, he refused to stand idle. He grabbed a fallen chain and ran toward the beast, shouting to draw its attention. The creature's burning eyes locked onto him. It opened its jaws, fire swirling inside. Daniel's instinct screamed to run, but he forced himself to stay. Not this time. Not again. "Come on," he shouted. "Over here." The beast lunged, its jaws snapping at him. At the last moment, Daniel dove aside, wrapping the chain around one of its claws. He pulled with all his strength, anchoring it against a broken stone pillar. The beast roared, thrashing, but the chain held just long enough. "Now, Kylara." He screamed. Kylara charged, leaping high, her blade glowing with the fire of her markings. With a fierce cry, she plunged the weapon deep into the beast's throat. Fire and ash exploded as the creature roared one last time before collapsing into the lava. Dragging half the bridge with it, the cavern fell silent, save for the bubbling of molten fire. Daniel collapsed to his knees, chest heaving, lungs burning. Kylara stood above the beast's fading body, her blade still glowing. Slowly, she turned to him, her eyes softened. She reached out her hand, pulling him back to his feet. "You fought with me," she said quietly. "Not as prey, not as burden, as a partner." Daniel coughed, trying to catch his breath. "Yes. That means I passed the test." Kylara's lips curved into the faintest smile. "We passed." The ground rumbled and the walls of the cavern shifted. The trial of fire was over. The stairway opened again, leading them upward. Together, they climbed, side by side. The council's judgment back in the temple. The elders waited, their torches burning brighter. Soldiers stood behind them, weapons ready, eyes full of doubt. Vedran, the rival warrior, stepped forward, his face twisted with anger. "They cannot have survived," he spat. "The human is weak. The bond is false. I demand their death." But the elder raised his staff, his eyes fixed on Kylara and Daniel as they emerged from the stairway, covered in ash, blood, and fire but alive. "The bond is proven," the elder declared, his voice echoing through the temple. They faced the fire. They fought the beasts. They endured together. "The vow stands." Murmurs filled the hall. Some soldiers bowed their heads in respect. Others turned away in anger. Vedran's fists clenched, his fury barely contained. Kylara stood tall, her blade resting at her side. She looked at the council, her voice clear and strong. "He is mine. By law, by vow, by trial. No one will take this from us." The elder nodded. "So it is. The bond is sealed. From this day, you are one." A new beginning as the council dismissed them. Kylara and Daniel stepped into the cool night air outside the temple. The two moons shone above, their light softer now, as if the world itself had changed. Daniel's body ached, but his heart felt strangely light. He turned to Kylara, struggling for words. "I never thought I'd survive this. I never thought I'd be standing here." Kylara studied him quietly. You are stronger than you believe. Perhaps stronger than even you know. Daniel gave a tired laugh. Still doesn't feel real. Married to an alien warrior. Bonded by fire and blood. Back home, nobody would believe me. Her golden eyes softened. For once, there was no anger. No steel in her gaze, only something warmer. Believe it or not, human, your life is mine now, and mine is yours. She paused, then added quietly, almost gently. Husband? The word sent a strange shiver through Daniel. Not fear this time, but something else, something deeper. He looked at her, and for the first time, he didn't see just a warrior. He saw a partner. Then, I guess, he said softly, we'd better learn how to survive together. Kylara's lips curved into a small smile. Together, she agreed. They stood in silence for a moment, two figures bound by fate. Their shadows merging under the twin moons. Epilogue. The choice that changed everything in the days that followed. Whispers spread across the alien city. Some called their bond a disgrace. Others called it destiny. But no one could deny the truth. The human had survived the trial of fire. And with him, Kylara had proven her vow. Enemies lingered in the shadows. Vadran and others like him would not forget, nor forgive. But for now, Daniel and Kylara walked. Free. Their bond was law. Their bond was life. Daniel often thought back to that first moment in the chamber, when he had seen what he was never meant to see. At the time, it had felt like a mistake. A death sentence. But now, standing beside Kylara, he realized it was something else entirely. It was the beginning. The human had seen her unclothed. And in that single forbidden moment, both their lives had changed forever. Asterisk shadows of tomorrow, the night after the trial, was eerily calm. The alien city, with its towers of black stone and glowing veins of light, seemed almost peaceful under the twin moons. Yet Daniel knew better. Behind every shadow, danger waited. He and Kylara walked side by side through the silent streets. Soldiers they passed stared at him with mixed looks, some with curiosity, some with open hatred. None dared speak against him openly, not after the council had declared the bond valid. But Daniel could feel their eyes, sharp as knives, following his every move. Kylara noticed too. Her hand rested near the hilt of her blade, her golden eyes scanning the shadows. "Do not meet their stares," she whispered without turning her head. "You have been accepted by law, but not by hearts. Many still want you dead." Daniel gave a humorless laugh. "That makes two of us then. I never wanted to be here either." Her eyes flicked to him, sharp but not cruel. "And yet, here you are, alive, because you chose to fight beside me." Daniel fell silent. He remembered the heat of the beasts, the roar of fire, the moment when he had almost given up, how Kylara had stood by him, unyielding. He knew she was right. Without her, he would already be ash. But still, doubt gnawed him. "What now?" he asked finally. "We survived the trial. The council accepted us. So, is that it? Do we just pretend to be husband and wife forever?" Kylara stopped walking. The torchlight painted her face in gold and shadow. "Pretend?" she asked. Softly, Daniel hesitated, his words caught. "I mean, it's not real. It can't be. Where I come from, marriage isn't forced. It's chosen. It's love, not survival." Kylara's jaw tightened, her gaze turning distant. "On my world, survival is love. To stand together in fire, to bleed for one another, that is our bond. You may not see it now, human, but the vow is no illusion." Her words silenced him. He wanted to argue, but deep down, he felt it too. In the trial, he had felt her heartbeat. Inside him, her fear and her strength. Something had changed in him there, something he couldn't explain. Before he could answer, a figure stepped out from the shadows. It was Vayd. Ran his armor glinted under the moonlight, and his golden eyes burned with fury. Soldiers flanked him, their weapons drawn. So Vedran sneered, "The human still breathes. The council may have spoken, but I will not bow to this insult. You shame us, Kylara. You shame the shadows." Kylara's blade was in her hand. Before he finished speaking, "Stand aside, Vedran," she said coldly, "or I will cut you down where you stand." Vedran's smile was cruel. You cannot protect him forever. Sooner or later, the council will see the truth that this bond is weakness. And when they do, I will be waiting. He turned sharply, leading his soldiers back into the night. But his words lingered, heavy as stone. Daniel exhaled shakily. He won't stop, will he? Kylara sheathed her blade, her face grim. No, he will wait, watch, strike when the time is right. Vedran is patient and dangerous. Daniel rubbed his face with his hands. Great. So we survived monsters and fire, only to be hunted by people now. Kylara's gaze softened slightly. The beasts were easier, she admitted. But you are not alone, Daniel. Remember that? Inside the alien fortress, the following days passed in uneasy silence. Daniel was housed in Kylara's quarters within the warrior's fortress, a place of stone walls, weapons, and silence. Everything felt foreign. The food, the sounds, the rituals of her people. Kylara trained daily. Her movements sharp and graceful as she practiced with her blade. Daniel often watched from the corner, both awed and unsettled by her strength. Sometimes she offered to teach him, handing him a practice staff. He was clumsy, slow, constantly beaten to the ground, but she never mocked him. She simply said, "Again." Day after day, he rose again, and slowly, painfully. He began to improve. At night, the bond between them stirred in ways he could not ignore. He sometimes felt her emotions, faint but real, her focus during training. Her anger at the soldiers' whispers, her rare flickers of humor when he stumbled yet refused to quit, and once, he swore he felt something else. Warmth, not just survival, not just duty. Something closer. The council's summons one evening, a messenger arrived. The council demanded their presence. Kylara's face darkened as she read the summons. "They move faster than I thought," she muttered. Daniel frowned. "What do they want now?" She looked at him, her voice grave. "To test us again. The trial proved our bond to the law. Now they will test it before politics, before honor. They will try to break us not with fire, but with lies." Daniel's stomach tightened. "And if we fail?" Her golden eyes met his. "Then the vow shatters, and so do we." The shadows beyond that night. Daniel lay awake, staring at the alien sky through the open window. The two moons hung above like watchful eyes. He thought of home, of the life he might never see again. Yet the bond inside his chest pulsed faintly, and when he turned his head, he saw Kylara asleep nearby, her markings glowing faintly in the dark. For the first time, he wondered if home was no longer where he came from, but where he was now. But before he could follow that thought, he heard something, a whisper outside the window. He crept closer, his heart racing. Shadows moved in the distance. Not soldiers, not council guards. Something else. Their forms were thin, cloaked, their eyes glowing faint green. They moved like wraiths, silent and sharp. Daniel froze. A chill crawled down his spine. Whoever they were not friendly. The figures melted back into the night, leaving only silence. Daniel turned back to Kylara, his voice low but urgent. "We're being watched. Not just by the soldiers. Something else is out there." Her eyes snapped open instantly, golden and alert. She gripped her blade, rising to her feet. Then the trial was only the beginning, she said grimly. She looked at him, and in her eyes, Daniel saw not just fear, but certainty. The real war, she whispered, is yet to come.